biggest complaints I always hear is like, I can't find bedding that fits my bed right. So I think that is where custom bedding can really make a big difference beyond just like being beautiful and having it look exactly the way you want. But I am Rebecca Munster from Rebecca Munster Designs. I'm in the DC area, and we specialize in window coverings, upholstery, and soft furnishings. And I've known Debbie for several years now. We love to collaborate when we can, and we are constantly sharing ideas, and it's great.
And I'm Debbie Hall from Designer Draperies, and I'm located in New Jersey. We work all of New Jersey, the Jersey Shore area, Philadelphia, all around there. And we've been in business for 25 years doing draperies, shades, blinds, bedding, upholstery, and love what we do. And I especially love working with Rebecca. So, welcome to Custom Bedding.
Yes. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Nod your head if you can. All right, good.
All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the elements of bedding. And one of the elements of bedding is a bed skirt. And I know some of this is going to be 101 for you, but you know, okay, so a bed skirt, what did I write? It's fabric hung from a bed frame, I was going to say to cover a box, over a box spring, and it hangs to the floor. So these are used in a lot of different situations. One is when you just have a regular bed spring. It's going to cover your, why am I losing my words already?
It'll cover that bed frame. So if you've got one of those,
covers the bed frame, and also
and the box.
Right, and then also everything that's under. So if you store anything under your bed, it covers that. A lot of people just like it because it gives a nice clean look. And I do a lot of bed skirts on all different types of beds. So even if you've got the wood boards on the side, we can still do a bed skirt so that it hangs below that. The trend right now is moving kind of away from bed skirts because people are really liking the platform beds, the cleanliness of it, and not having to use a bed skirt. But there's a lot of situations where we still need to use a bed skirt.
Right, right. And I think in this particular room in your picture here, Debbie, like that bed skirt just goes so well with the style of the room, and it adds a little extra fanciness because it's a fancy room, right?
And that's really another way that the bed skirt is used. It's used to pull in additional texture, color, pattern, just to add to the room.
Right. Isn't it so fun? Like a tulle bed skirt on a little girl's bed, just there are ways that it can really add to the character and the design in the room. But I've done some too, Debbie, and I'm sure you have too, that were just like really clean lined, darker, because you were really trying to make that part of the bed just disappear. So, there's so many different ways you can go with the bed skirt.
And with a bed skirt, it doesn't just have to be, actually, if you go to the next screen, yeah. I believe we've got,
wrong way. I know, I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Rebecca is not known for being patient. There we go.
Okay. So basically you have the decking, which is, which goes over your box spring. Now, a lot of people hate bed skirts because bed skirts shift. You're making your bed and things like that. It gets tucked up under, it shifts. Mm-hmm. Frankly, they can be a real pain in the neck. At least to me, they can be. They can also add a lot of elegance, but they can be kind of a hassle. So a lot of times what we do is, as opposed to doing the decking, first of all, no matter when we do the decking, we still do like a platform decking around of the same fabric about 5 inches in. So you see where it shows all that white? About 5 inches in on that white on the actual box spring, you're going to have the same fabric. That way, if it does shift a little bit, you don't see the white hanging down.
Yep.
Now, another way of addressing this is Velcroing it onto your
box spring.
Box spring, thank you. Velcro, that way you can take it off, you can clean it, you can Velcro it back on without having to move your mattress, because I don't know about you guys, but I've got a Tempur-Pedic, and forget about trying to move that darn thing.
Right.
It's a nightmare. And then once you get the bed skirt on perfectly and you're trying to get that Tempur-Pedic on to the actual box spring, you mess up the whole bed skirt then again.
Right.
So
and you're like back to square one.
Yep. So there's a lot of different ways to address it. And like I said, even if you've got the wood boards going down the sides, I've done bed skirts that are only 6 inches long and just very clean, flat, because it just finishes that bedding ensemble.
Yep.
We do have
the hook and the hook and loop is a great. I mean, when you can attach it differently so that it's not moving when you're making the bed, that makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. Oh, huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also we have different bed skirt styles. Shirred, the gathered. It's beautiful. Right now, again, the look is a little bit cleaner lines, unless you're doing
tailored.
a really romantic bedroom. You know, if you're looking for something that's glitzy, glam, romance, then you might do something in a really beautiful shirred fabric. But right now, I do more tailored. And Rebecca, I think you said that you do too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just to give that kind of clean look, to finish things off, but without being too fussy.
I will say too, like the difference between buying custom bedding versus perhaps, you know, something that you bought at the department store is and Debbie, tell me your 2 thoughts too, but I know for us, like when we make the bed skirts, we use a heavier fabric, or we'll put weights in them and other things that just give them a little bit more oomph, so that they're not just that real, you know, the ones you buy at the Bed in the Bag, they're practically sheet material, and you know, they don't always sit as nicely. And so I think one of the nice things when you're doing custom is how we finish it.
You're right, because frankly, the Bed in the Bag, it does look like a sheet. Okay, so my son going to college, I got him just a Bed in a Bag, because I thought there is no way that I'm going to give him the custom spread or the custom bed shirt. And he's like, what do I need it for? And I'm like, because you're shoving stuff under your bed. It's an apartment that he's in. So I'm not giving him a bed skirt for a dorm room, just so you don't think I'm really totally nuts. Anyway, so it was a Bed in the Bag, and we got the bed skirt, and it was like sheet fabric. Now, when all bed skirts that I do, they're fully lined, everything's perfect, it hangs straight. Okay, so we put it on the bed, and I took it back off, and I said, honey, you know what? I think you're fine without one. I just can't do this. I just
right. Well, and I think sometimes the feeling, the negative feeling people have towards bed skirts is because they've never actually had a good one too. You know, when you've always had one of those that you can't ever get to sit right. But imagine if you had a really beautifully finished, nice weight fabric that fit your bed perfectly. I mean, it really is a nice finishing touch on that bed.
It is. Yes, I agree. So from bed skirts, we move on to duvets versus comforters. And a lot of people have asked.
Well, we should ask the group. So who has a duvet on your bed? Who has a comforter? Okay. See, I'm always so interested. There's always like, you're usually either in the duvet camp or the comforter camp, right?
All right. So wait, I wasn't able to count it quick enough. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry. I'll do it again. Who was in the duvet camp? Who's got a duvet on their bed?
I know Kathy. Yeah, Kathy, you're going to raise your hand for both though.
Oh, that I did.
And then
who's got a comforter? Comforters.
It looks like everybody else is in the comforter. Unless I missed somebody, it looks like everybody else is in the comforter camp.
All right.
And okay, so there's different reasons why you have duvets versus comforters in my eyes. Okay, so duvet, for anybody that doesn't know, a duvet is basically I'm going to make it really easy. An envelope, and you put an actual comforter in between. The first time I ever was introduced to a duvet was when I went over to live in England. And I was given bedding, and I was like, okay, where's my sheet? And I was living with, other 20-something-year-olds. And they're like, what do you mean? Here's your sheet. And it was a bottom sheet. And I'm like, yeah, but where's the sheet that I put on top of me? And they're like, well, there's your duvet. And I'm like, yeah, but where's the sheet that I'm going to wash? They said, well, you wash your duvet. And it was the first time I had ever known anything about it, because I had grown up with comforters all my life. So duvets and comforters, those are two items, that you're probably, if you're going to do a dust ruffle, those are going to be items that you would do a dust ruffle with. A duvet is an envelope style where you've got the top and bottom fabrics, and you put the comforter in between. It gives a very plush, full, voluminous, is that a word? Voluminous look.
Voluminous.
It just gives a really great cozy look to it.
Mm-hmm.
A comforter is something that you're going to, that's you've got fabric top and bottom, but then you have typically a dacron or a down or something in between, and then that gets all quilted. And the quilting is to hold the dacron or whatever is in there, the down, to hold it all together.
Mm-hmm.
That typically, if you're going to clean it, you're going to send it to the dry cleaners, because sometimes you can get away with it in a washing machine, but a lot of times you can't, and it'll start to clump no matter, how well tacked it is. With
Mm-hmm.
comforters, you have several different weights that you're looking at. Besides having the different types of down that you can use, you also have different fiber fill weights. And so it starts off with like a 4 ounce, which is so thin. It's what people usually use for like a coverlet or a bedspread. And then you go up to like a 6 and 8. You can do a 12. I think that I probably do most. The 12 and the 14 are heavy. They
Mm-hmm.
really have a lot of volume to them. I would say an 6 to 8 is probably about what you typically see in a store.
Yeah.
But usually you're going to either have it hand-guided quilted, or you're just going to have it, there's quilting machines, and there are so many different options of quilting that you can get.
Yeah,
Go on.
I was just gonna say it's pretty cool, because you can pick from all those different designs, and you're not stuck on one thing.
Yeah, and so you can actually quilt to an actual design, which I think Jennifer, I think we did that with hers. We may have done that with Kathy's, with some of them that you're going to see today. But then there's others where we just do like a circle tack. It just keeps it very nice and clean.
Yeah.
So then please, whenever anybody has a question, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask, because we really like it when it's interactive, because I'll talk forever. You can already tell.
You can also throw your questions in the chat if you want to. Debbie should be able to see those down there. It'll flash at her.
That's right. So I'll keep an eye on that as well. Coverlets and bedspreads. Okay, so if you don't use a duvet, you don't do a comforter, a coverlet and a bedspread are going to be 2 other items that you can use. Coverlets are perfect for like the platform beds. They're not as long. They don't go all the way to the floor. They come down, they cover the mattress. They usually come a little bit down on the box spring if you have one. But usually a coverlet, for me, I typically use them more on beds that are more platform beds. It's got a much more contemporary, clean lined look. A coverlet, a lot of times, like
I think too, one of the things, Debbie, like if you look at your coverlet there, you've got it seamed in the corners.
That's what I was going to say. This one is closed in, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And for some people, they really want that clean look, but they don't like folding it. They don't feel like it ever looks clean and neat enough. So a coverlet's a good option if you're one of those people and you want those nice, clean corners.
Yes, and with a coverlet, you can have the corner stitched in, or you can do a waterfall where it's not stitched in. But a coverlet is going to be a little bit more formed. You also see coverlets and bedspreads in like Matelassé and some of the things that you can buy in the store that are very thin. And on these, this is where you're really going to use like a 4 ounce, maybe max a 6 ounce, so that you don't have as much bulk with it. A coverlet and a bedspread, typically you're not going to sleep with that on you. You're usually going to roll it down to the bottom of the bed. Whereas a comforter you can sleep with so long as you have a performance fabric or something that's easily cleanable. And then a duvet, if you have a fabric that's washable, that to me is like, the ideal if you can do it, or you dry clean it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our fabric vendors are understanding the need to have some washable. So like I've gotten some really great books in just over the last couple of months of washable linens that are really pretty, and some other things like that would work really well.
Yeah, beautiful fabrics are coming out. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Now, day beds, they're not as popular as they used to be. And day beds, that a day bed used to be what you would use in an office or something like that, or a guest room. So it could be used kind of as a sofa, kind of a love seat, or a bed when you have company coming. But I do still have clients with day beds. And this one, we did a fitted coverlet. And actually, this coverlet, we did not even, I didn't even quilt that one. We just kept it really nice and clean, attached where we've got the seaming. And then we did the big bolsters, which...
Those bolsters are awesome. I love those.
I felt like the bolsters made the whole bed, and the color scheme. I just really liked the way that pulled everything together.
And I think, too, using the piping here, really pretty. Yes. Just a nice, classy touch.
Yeah, that was fun to do. That was difficult to do because of just the way that day bed fit. It was very tight, and to be able to get the dimensions right and get everything tucked down so that it looked as nice as it does. But that's what we do, right? We measure like 2, 3,
and
4,
measure
5.
And then worry about our measurements and measure some more.
And then go back and do a couple more measurements.
Right. So we get it just right.
Rebecca, do you want to talk about the Euroshams and the pillows?
Sure. So Euroshams and pillows. Euroshams, those are those larger square 24 by 24, 26 by 26. You've usually got down or a down alternative in those. They're usually in the back of the bed, and you'll have probably 3, 2 if it's a smaller bed. I think those are the pillows where you can really have a lot of fun with adding some style, some pattern. If you want to stay a little more neutral on some of the other things, let's have fun with the Euroshams. And then the pillow shams are going to be your standard bed size pillows that just have a nice decorative sham so that when it's sitting on your bed, it looks pretty. And so those are some of the different pillows that you're going to use to kind of layer on your bed.
Now, also, one of the things about these is you'll see that both of these have just a small flange going around it. And that's really gotten to be a very popular look, keeping things, again, very clean. But you can put welt around it. You can put a thick flange. You can do welt with a thick flange. And you'll
fringe.
See... fringe.
Whatever.
And you'll see on some of the pictures where we did do that. But this is kind of the basis when you start dressing your bed. Typically, you're going to have the Euroshams in the back, and then you bring in your pillow shams, and then you're going to bring in your decorative pillows in front of that. Okay, Kath, you need to look up because these are yours. All right.
I love them.
The bolster on the left is my very favoriteest pillow in the whole wide world.
Yep. It's
And you
beautiful.
can't really tell, but in the middle of that pillow, there's grommets, and we took and did X's with cording because we were going for the nautical look. And what's more nautical than bringing in grommets and cording and things like that?
So pretty.
So we've got bolsters, which is a really fun, great look. And it's a great place where you can mix fabrics again and trims. And then we've got decorative pillows that we can do everything from monogramming to just a pattern. The blue one, I think you can see, we took that pattern that was from another fabric, and then we outlined that with welt.
So
and then
pretty.
we did some welt in between the little flange that we did. So there's
Really
all sorts of ways that you can bring a lot of bling and fun into pillows. If you
Yeah, and I think a big trend right now is like really big bolsters on
Yes.
the bed. Instead of having a
Yes.
whole bunch of decorative pillows, doing a really big, cool bolster.
Which is really great when you have a husband like mine that absolutely hates moving the pillows. So what he'll do is, if he gets in bed before me, he'll take all of the decorative pillows and stack them where I sleep.
Wasn't there an awesome Friends episode about pillows on the bed? Oh,
That's his passive aggressive way of saying to me, I really don't
right.
want to.
So why do we have to have all these pillows? Because they look so pretty.
I'm like, because they make me feel good.
Right. You walk in your room and you see your bed with all those pretty pillows on it. You're like, ah.
Uh-huh.
We also didn't want to let this opportunity go by, as we were talking about bedding, to also talk about the bed. So, you can also do upholstered beds and headboards, and both Debbie and I do those. And you can really, I mean, especially when you're doing custom, the sky's the limit. As Debbie was mentioning, these platform beds are really popular right now. So you don't have to necessarily do bed skirts when you've got those, but you can also just do upholstered headboards. You can do button tufting, you can do nail heads. You can, right now I'm doing a really neat one for my daughter that's got, it's a little bit different from this, but it's got a really interesting decorative headboard, and we're doing some neat piping around the edges, and we're going to pull in a little bit of bling for her because that little one likes to have bling.
I can't wait to see it when it's done.
Yes. And then I think, I've had a few people be like, "Ooh, I don't know about like upholstered headboards in the bedroom. Your heads are greasy, blah, blah, blah." But that's where I think performance fabrics are great, right? Use one of those performance fabrics and you don't have to worry about that. It's soil and stain resistant. You won't get like greasy head marks on your pretty headboard.
And now that you say that, I do remember, and we're going back like 10, 15 years ago. And I had a client that she had bought a headboard and it was velvet. And she did have that issue with her husband with his hair.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that until you mentioned that. I forgot about that instance.
Yeah. So, but performance fabrics solve that nowadays. And, you can get any fabric made into performance fabric too, if you want. So another thing that we're seeing a big trend out there as far as upholstered beds go, we know people like to upholster walls, but now you can buy these upholstered beds. So that's the headboard, but it kind of feels like almost a whole wall of upholstery, and you set your bedside tables in front of those wings on the side. And those are really kind of fun and cool too, that you can do in different styles and colors. And, that also helps from a design perspective. It really sort of takes up that wall, right?
It does. It turns it into an accent wall instead of you having to go and do it. Let's say if you wanted to do reclaimed wood or shiplap,
right,
or do an accent wall just in a color, you can do it now just pulling in the upholstered headboard.
Yeah. And I think too, if you don't have a wall, some people have windows on either side of where they put their beds. If you don't have that, this adds kind of an interesting element to the room instead of having windows there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay, look at this pretty
Okay,
room.
so this is oh, one of my clients that I love. I love so many of my clients. I've been very blessed. Uh, Actually, I have to tell you a quick story. They were having a brand new home built, and she said, okay, the most favorite room at the shore for me is my bedroom. And she said, because I love my bedding. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's great. She said, okay, so I need to love my bedding in my new house as much as I love that.
Oh,
And I'm like, okay, thank you. Crap, how am I going to do this?
right.
I'm like, what do you love about it? Do you love the color? Do you love the pattern? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I need to figure out what you're loving.
Right.
But anyway, I do have her new, in the new house, I do have a picture of that bedroom also. And the only thing that I would do differently in here, but she already had it, was the, she had dark wood blinds. And really, I wish they were white wood. A white blind, I think, would have lightened that room up a little bit. But the pillows have lots of fun. The white shams have, they've got this small, I call it like the little pencil ruffle going all the way around.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see
Just
that
a
ruffle
flat
in there.
ruffle. I was just able to pull so much in there.
Oh, and
And
you did that same ruffle around the bolsters.
yeah. And
Look
what
at
I
that.
love to do also is on all my comforters, I like to make them reversible. That way they can turn it back if they want, or they can flip it over for a totally different look in the winter versus the summer. And then I like to do a decorative welt or something along that line around the bottom. And then what we did for the, dust ruffle at the bottom, which pulled in the reverse side of the comforter and
Yeah, that's
pulled in some of the
beautiful.
other accents.
I love it. And I love how you were not afraid to layer patterns here because they work so well together and they look beautiful.
I'm going to
That's
say, I
nice.
think that is what I love so much about doing bedrooms. It's by far, bedding
Mm-hmm.
is my most favorite thing, doing a full bedroom, because you get to layer patterns and bring in other things. This bedroom I did with Linda Rubino from Simply Elegant. So we have a lot of fun collaborating together
Yeah,
on, okay, well, let's pull this pattern in and this pattern in. And
that's great.
it's really fun, when you're working with other people as well as the client to really get the perfect look.
And I think the nice thing too, when we're doing custom bedding, and I said this at the beginning, is that the bedding, when I'm sure when Debbie came in here, and I know I do this too, she brought her soft tape measure, right?
Yep.
So that you could figure out the exact length to make this so that it fits perfectly on that bed, because nowadays mattresses vary so much. There's really thick ones, there's thinner ones, like it just, and then the type of bed you're putting it on, it can make everything sit differently. And so being able to create bedding for that particular scenario is going to make it look so much prettier, and then nobody's stealing the covers from the other person. Oh, this is
Okay,
a
so
sweet room.
this is a little girl's room that I did, oh my goodness, many, many, many years ago. I actually, it's funny, a lot of these pictures I collaborated with Linda from Simply Elegant on a lot of these. I realized as I started pulling some pictures together, I'm like, oh, Linda and I did that one too.
You guys like doing bedrooms together.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, the green on the pillow there was actually an ostrich, I'm going to call it pleather, it's the
Okay,
recycled
yeah.
leather, but with the ostrich texture. And
Oh,
then we did a
pretty.
window seat cushion on the other side of the room with that and with trim around it and everything. But with
Nice.
this, again, with this, we kept the pillows kind of to a minimum
Uh-huh.
because it's a little, it was a little girl's room.
Yeah.
She, much older than she was then. But I think I'm looking, and I think we only did 3 pillows on that bed. It looks like that's all
Yeah.
we did, which
But
which is
but
perfect.
yeah. Well, I think when it's well curated and you've put thought into it and you've got the right pieces, you can have lots if that's the look you're going for, or you can have less and it still makes an impact and a statement like this does here.
Yes, that's what I had to do. I had to edit my pillows.
Right, right. Fewer pillows. That little girl is not going to appreciate 100 pillows up here.
Okay, so this just happens to be the sister of the other
Oh,
room, and she loved the blue and green, and it's too bad because this does not even show a quarter of what we did on this bedding. The bed skirt has a contrast band at the bottom
yeah.
edge. Around, all the way around the comforter, we did what's in the middle of the bolster.
Okay.
We did that on the bias. So you see how we've got some white kind of,
Yeah.
we just had
All those little.
it's all those little details, those little areas where you
Mhm.
bring things in. On that bolster, it has a great trim going around the center part, and it's got like little pom-poms on it, little flat pom-poms. It is beautiful.
So
It's all
nice.
those little things that you pull together that really make a room,
Yeah.
and what makes it custom as opposed to a bed in a bag.
Yeah. And I think too, so often we do our bedrooms last, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because we want to make sure the rest of our house, but like our bedrooms, those are our little special spaces. We need to make sure those are beautiful too.
Right. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and that's like the last room that we're doing.
And
This,
then after you do it, aren't they always like, I wish I would have done this sooner?
yes, kind of like me. I do the
Right.
same thing with my house. It's like, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Yeah.
Anyway, this was just a very clean room. This is a woman that's in her early 20s. She's on the fast track with her career. She's in the fashion industry. She just wanted something nice and clean. And so what I like doing sometimes is, you see how we mitered the edges with the
It's
stripe,
so pretty.
and then we did a square of another fabric in the middle of that comforter. I mean, it just breaks it up from just being either a stripe or a
Right.
solid, or a pattern. So
Yeah.
we just pulled in some fun fabrics. Again, not too many pillows, keeping it clean. And we took the stripe then from the bed and put it over on the window treatment.
Very pretty. I love this room.
This is a very relaxing room. This kind of gives a little bit of a
Hmm.
hotel aesthetic to it.
Yes.
And
Gorgeous.
and some of the items, this is to show that you can mix and match. Some of the items on this bed were purchased
Uh-huh.
to keep the price down. And then what we did is we made, some pillows, some shams, things like that to customize it, to pull
Yeah.
in more color and to pull the room together.
Yeah, I love that. I think when you can do that, that's a really great way to get a higher end look in your bedroom. Maybe you wanted to save some of the money so you could make some really gorgeous window treatments. And so if you wanted to do a clean white that you can find easily at the store, then do that and then customize with the pillows and the window treatments. That's a really great way to tackle that when you're trying to balance budget.
Yeah, and I always tell people as we're going through, if there's a budget that we're working with, then let's see where we can save so we can spend it in the other area. Exactly what you're talking about. It
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Yeah, yeah, and there's ways, and we'll talk about it in some of the other pictures, but you'll be able to see, that pillow with that monogram was worth spending a little bit extra on because
Mhm.
it's unique and special to you, and it fits in this room, and you can't just go buy that at the store.
Right.
And that helps to dress it up and make it feel custom and special.
Hmm. This one right here, we were talking about comforters and talking about uh, quilting.
Uh-huh.
to a pattern. And this one, we worked at quilting to that pattern. I also talked about how I made like a 6-inch long bed skirt.
Oh.
And that's it right there. And it kind of broke up the bottom of the bed from the rug that she had. She couldn't stand that look. She wanted it to just flow, and she just wanted fabric. She just wanted fabric. And
now, did you attach that to the bed frame?
Yes. So that
okay,
one
I've done that before too with those. Yeah.
So you attach it to the back side of it, and I mean, let me tell you the times that I've been laying on a floor with Velcro, and getting it so that it lines up. For some reason, Doug does not seem to do that for me very often. No. I'm usually the one that's doing that part of the job. My installer, Doug.
Yeah.
I'm usually under there and then stapling it in to make sure that you can like rip it off easily and put it back on if you need to. But yeah, so that's the way that was put on. So that is never going to shift, never going to move, unless you physically are making it move.
Yeah, and you've got some really pretty trims around these pillows. Love it.
This is this I did also with Linda. I'm telling you, Linda and I've done worked together for close to 25 years. So
that's wonderful.
When we work together for that long of a time with our clients, I end up having a lot of pictures, that we've done together. But this is where, again, if it was just a solid yellow comforter, it would be kind of boring. If we didn't pull in a square, what we could have done was we could always do, and I'm trying to remember if I've got pictures or if we already went past them, that have
the bed skirt or bed scarf.
Bed scarf, bed runner. I was telling Rebecca about 10-15 years ago, there was a big thing with everybody in our drapery group online, and everybody wanted to know the name of it. Somebody came out and said it's called a Scaladino. I tried Googling it, and I was not coming up with Scaladine. I wasn't coming up with anything when I did that, but I remember like 10-15 years ago I Googled it and it came up. You know what, go back a couple more.
I know it's back here. I know there was one back here. There we go. Yeah, I love doing those. I think it's a way to add a pop of interest. Debbie and I were talking, sometimes we'll put fill in them so they feel thicker, so it almost looks like a folded back comforter laying down at the end without all the bulk and extra fabric of a big old comforter. And it's just, again, if you were going to do like a store-bought comforter, but then you could do a custom scarf and throw pillows, you could really dress up that bed and make it look super custom.
Yeah, and it just breaks up. I mean, that whole bed would have been a green, just a big green bedspread. But you pull that in, and it just jazzes it up. Now, I was told that this is what I read again through the drapery group. So fingers crossed that I'm not feeding the wrong information. But I was told that those were developed for two different reasons. As foot warmers, at the bottom of the bed in Europe, just because, when it would get cold, it would just be, so I was told that. And then the other thing I was told, and if you think about it, it makes sense, in hotel rooms, when they've got that at the bottom, besides it just pulling in that splash of color, that's where people sit. When they're taking their shoes on and off, when they're throwing their suitcases up on the bed, whatever they're doing, it's typically right there in that area. So I think it helps reduce the wear and tear also, as well as bringing in color and a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's a big bolster.
Here's a big bolster. All right. So my client came to me and she said, I got a new bedroom set for my son, and he insisted on painting his room Flyers orange. And she said, I really need to tone this down. And she said, the way this bed is that he lays on it, it's turned. So the
Ah,
headboard is not really a headboard. That's almost like a sideboard.
uh-huh.
And he sleeps,
This
the
way.
width of the bed. And so anyway, she was like, okay, so how do I exactly do this? And what we did is we pulled in a comforter that he can pull down. We didn't tuck it in on the side and
Uh-huh.
that's where the big bolster is. And then we threw a couple pillows because we were being very conscious of the fact that this is a boy's room. And what
Mm-hmm.
boy is not going to like a great big bolster when his buddies are coming over? I mean,
Right.
they're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I figured, and also you've got a better chance of a boy putting one bolster on the bed than €3.
Right.
So
That was good
anyway,
thinking.
and he
Oh,
loved it. That was the important thing. He loved it.
that's awesome. This is
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah, this was a fun room. The client came to me and they had a picture from House, and they said, we're trying to achieve this look. And by the time we got through the whole thing, that was not this look that we ended up with. But really what they were trying to do is they were trying to just have something that was just warm and inviting. And the wife really liked things more neutral. And
Mm-hmm.
so keeping a neutral palette, but the husband wanted to bring in a little bit of pattern. He didn't want things too neutral. And so this really suited the two of them. They were both very happy with the outcome. And because we've got kind of it's not a tone on tone pattern. It's got a little bit of embroidery, but it's a quiet pattern. It's not
Yeah.
loud. There's not a lot of color. And the chocolate brown, they went crazy over that chocolate brown and see how it pulls in, how nicely it pulls in the
That
trim on the bed
furniture.
and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
also
also,
think too, that's a big headboard.
yes,
So you really needed, you've got what, 4 layers here of pillows that you actually really need that on that size bed because it would look silly unless you had 3 or 4 really large pillows. But you did the Euros with the shams and then the 3 decorative and the large lumbar. And that just, it looks beautiful on that bed, just like that.
yeah. As the headboards get higher and higher, you really need to have height back there. Otherwise, you have a large expanse. So, and as I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking, I'm like, wow, I do use the Euros a lot, don't
Yeah,
I?
but they're great. I mean, it gives you pattern. They're big. Like you said, you need that height, and the trend is toward taller headboards, right?
Right, right.
Which from a decorating perspective is nice because when they're taller, they really fill up that wall. You're not trying to find little things to put to put up there to fill it up. But it means we need to fill in that space with pillows so
Right.
that it looks
Soft
proportional.
and cozy and a nice retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a
Mm-hmm.
retreat. This
Yes,
is a very nice retreat.
that
And on
is
the other,
gorgeous. I love the stripes.
oh my goodness. And that stripe is, it's velvet. So it's cut
Mm,
velvet in the different colors.
it's beautiful.
It was amazing. I mean,
Hmm.
it was so much fun doing this. And then on the other side of the room is a beautiful sitting area and a fireplace where we pulled in draperies, that close off. But you can tell by the beautiful chandelier that
Yeah.
it was just a fun, just a really pretty room to work in.
Now, what kind of fabric is this?
That one is, um, it was actually a jacquard.
Okay.
It was like a tone on tone.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty. It's
It was
very
a tone
nice.
on tone fabric. But when we were talking before, that would be a good place where you could bring in a performance fabric so that
Mm-hmm.
when you bring your glass of wine to bed, not that I ever do that, but
Never,
if
never.
you bring your glass of red wine to bed and you
Yes.
spill it, you can blot it up easily, clean it from a performance fabric. Can't do
Yeah.
that as easily on some of the others.
Yeah. I think too, Debbie and I were talking earlier, we both have similar philosophies too on sheets. We like when, because we've got to think about sheets a little bit, even if we're not custom making them, because there's not really a need to unless we're looking for a really specific pattern. But, a crisp, clean white sheet is always a great way to go. And just, you can usually tie that in nicely with whatever you've got. But it is something to think about as you start layering all these patterns and colors. What's that sheet layer going to look like? And is it going to peek through a little bit or not, right? All those kinds of questions that you start to ask and think through.
Yes, and Maria just asked if it's a wall stencil or a wallpaper. That was a wallpaper, and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it was just very romantic room.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And that was
and the scale is really nice in this room too. I think as we talk about beds getting bigger and mattresses getting bigger, those side tables have to get bigger, right?
Now, this room was also a struggle in the respect that we ended up doing a duvet, which is, they wanted a duvet, but you see the footboard, okay, so that comes down, but they were getting a new mattress. And so trying to make sure that you're going to have a comforter that's going to fit properly when you don't have the right mattress, but, you've got a party, you want it all to be done at the same time. It took a lot of collaborating back and forth with the furniture maker and finding out how low that mattress was going to sit into the bed frame so that I knew how much we wanted it to come down on the sides.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, I love this room.
Okay, so this is Kathy's room.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
This is a beautiful, beautiful room. We ended up going with a duvet cover, right, for the white, Kath? Okay, and then the comforter on the bottom, that was a nice full comforter too. I mean, that was
beautiful.
Not a skimpy comforter. And it just folded back so beautifully.
Yeah.
Look at the pretty bolster on the bed too. That was bringing in that same pattern that we had seen on the pillows in the beginning. Okay, so that pulled that in, and then the monogramming, I just feel like that just set it apart. And looking at your face, Kathy, I think you're still happy with everything.
Oh, we love it. Love it.
Good.
It is. And then we did the bench to match. We pulled the stripe in on the bench. I forgot that we had
Love that. Love that.
Look at her end tables. Aren't they gorgeous?
Those are beautiful.
And I think the other thing that I love,
the scale in this room is perfect.
Yes. And I think also the ceiling, just having that so that, could you imagine if it was just all white?
Right.
It wouldn't be as amazing. I mean, this makes you look at the entire room, not just look straight on.
Yeah, and I love having benches at the end of the bed, because then instead of sitting on the end of the bed, and again, because our beds have gotten higher, I'm short. Like trying to hop up on the edge of the bed to put my shoes on doesn't work very well. But a bench is great. It's beautiful and functional.
Yes.
We always have to think about the short people in the house.
So I think, Kathy, you're the one that told me how you do the duvet. I'm pretty sure it's you. Don't you and Mike shake it out? Like, didn't you on the second floor and you had it all figured out? Okay, so this is perfect for anybody that has a duvet and doesn't quite know how to get it to fit right. And Kath, I've told people this too and shown them how to do it. When you have in your stairwell, when you've got, the foyer beneath, you can kind of toss it over. Toss it over. I'm not even describing this right.
No, that's right.
Toss it over the handrail, basically, hang onto it and shake it out. And then
so you can get it to.
Yeah, then you've got the king size, the inside comforter that's going, and it all lays just perfectly.
Yeah.
as opposed to, you know, trying to get your arms in
Right.
there and get everything.
Right. It's so hard. It's hard horizontally trying to get it all, get that insert inside that duvet cover.
It is.
Beautiful.
And when and when you showed that to me, I'm telling you, I mean, I think I've saved a couple marriages because of you on that.
I bet. That's awesome. That's great.
That was perfect. This
Oh,
is
another fun bolster.
this is a boys' room, and I just threw it in. This is the next, when we get to the next picture, I'll tell you who it is. But we were just trying to keep it nice and clean. We pulled in the bolster. Those are actually the two pillows, the white ones that he actually uses.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just able to pull that in, and with the little throw on the end so that it all kind of pulled together.
Perfect. I love this room.
So that is her son's room.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Vic, one of my amazing clients, and Linda from Simply Elegant. Vic is the one who had the room that said, I need to love my room as much as I love it. And so it was really trying to figure out what she loved.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Jennifer said, I love this. And the curtains. Oh, my goodness.
Right?
The curtains. Okay, let me just tell you. She's got, 7, 8 windows. So everything's motorized. So that push of a button, everything goes up and down. And those curtains are on acrylic rods, 2-inch acrylic rods.
Beautiful.
And they've got, down by the valance on the curtain, the most beautiful trim. Actually, if you go to the next picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so the trim that's on, that one right there.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a glass trim.
Bead. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And
so pretty.
So Vic's big thing, she said, I want a lot of bling. She's awesome. She likes sparkle. And so on this comforter, that right there, that's a rhinestone button.
That's awesome.
And so her entire comforter is hand quilted with rhinestone buttons.
Yeah, so I love to hear, this isn't just any regular piping.
Right.
It's fancy piping.
oh, yes. Everything on here was.
Can I go back to the other picture for a minute, the wide one?
Absolutely.
This one. So, one of the things I love about this, and talking about the window treatments and the bedding, it does not read like 1980s, everything matchy, right? Yet it coordinates beautifully together and it reads custom, right?
Yes.
So, and there's something so special about that. There was a lot of thought put into all the materials on the bed and how they coordinate beautifully with the materials on the window. And it's beyond just being ooh, look at me, I have got something fancy and custom. It's what it does to the eyes and what it does to our souls, right? When our eyes see things that are so beautifully coordinated, it just makes you feel warm and happy, right? Our brain, lets off all those pleasure sensors to let us know this is a pretty space. And so it isn't just always, sometimes we think about, oh, did I do all that to be fancy or pretty or just outwardly? But it actually does something inwards too, right?
And where else do you want to look really beautiful?
Right. Your bedroom.
Where else do you want to feel good? And now I do have to say, if you go back to see, this room is brighter than it appears in the pictures. You see how dark the tree is? That tree is not like a dark tree. So my, this was my photography. So it is even a little bit brighter than this, but it's a very soothing room. Very soothing room.
All right.
You want to go?
All right. Yeah, sure. So, we are doing these coffee and curtains every week, and Debbie and I have been having so much fun, and we love having you guys here. They are also up on YouTube, so if you miss us, we like having you here live because it's fun, but if you miss us, you can go out to YouTube, you can share it with your friends. We feel really passionate about what we do, and we we want to share it with everybody and get you guys excited. I for one, I can tell you, I grew up in a home that didn't have custom things. That wasn't the type of house I grew up. And as I got older and my mom taught me to sew and I started to get into this world, I realized like how fun it is and how beautiful it is, and what a great opportunity it is to make your home. And I think we're probably all really feeling that right now while we're spending so much time in our homes, like how important it is for your home to be a really special place for you, and that it feels like you, and that it's beautiful and it's amazing, right? And that can be on different size budgets and different sizes and ways. And hopefully we're able to share some of that with you every week when we get together on Coffee and Curtains.
And if you have missed any of our past episodes and you want to see them, we do have a YouTube channel now.
Yes.
And so I think we've got 3 or 4 up so far. And this will be up probably by the weekend.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of see what we've done. Please, if there's anything, let's see.
We have some.
Oh, okay. Shannon Hughes just said, this is my favorite part of Thursdays. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Shannon. That's awesome to hear. We love to have you all join us. And, if anybody has questions or if there's anything that you would like us to speak about. Thank you, Barb, so much. That's nice to see. Yep. Thank you. And so anyway, we thank you very much. And
yes.
Please join us again.